VSG's most recent patch for Escape from Tarkov has changed crafting more dramatically than any patch before it has. This patch added reusable tools to the crafting process. So now if you need a wrench or a screwdriver or sewing kit and many other items to complete a craft, once that craft is done, that item gets returned to you. It doesn't get used up. And as a nice bonus, it maintains its found and raid status. So if it's a found and raid sewing kit, it comes back as a found and raid sewing kit. Now this change has shifted the landscape when crafting for profit. As a result, many items' prices have adjusted to fit, and thus the whole market has shifted with them. Now, while some of your crafts have maintained their ranking, like the best profit, the amount of profit has shifted around quite a bit. Now keep in mind, if I don't mention your favorite craft here, I'm kind of doing you a favor because nobody else is going to craft it. But if you want to let us know, make sure you go down in the comments, tell us what your favorite craft is, how much money you're making, because you guys find some sneaky ways sometimes to get some profit out of the hideout. But let's not waste any more time and we'll get right into these profitable crafts. Now, per the usual, we'll jump right into the Medstation and we'll start here. Right now, the most profitable craft is Pile of Meds. And I'll start these crafts as we go through just so you guys can see what they're due as we talk about the prices. The key to Pile of Meds is you want to get your augmentants for less than 15,000. Now you get your bandages and AI2s from therapists, though you can get them from Fence. Sometimes you can find them cheaper on Fence, and it's a little bit of a cost savings. If you want to go that extra effort, that's more power to you. Once they're crafted, I like to save up till I have like 20 or 30 meds, but you can sell them in piles of 3 to 6 if you want. List them for 14.5 or higher. This is going to net you over 21,000 rubles an hour in profit. Now, as a side note real quick, I do not apply any bonuses here. There's nothing to do with hideout management or crafting, and it does not include the level 3 intel centers. So these are base prices. So you should always be able to beat the profits that I'm showing here. Now, the second best craft is actually the SJ6s. Now we'll modify the price here a little bit. We're not going to buy Pile of Meds at 1,400. I'll kind of show you a little bit of the behind the scenes here when I go and look. So 14.5 is kind of where you look to sell. We're going to try to buy Pile of Meds at 12,000 or less for crafting purposes. We'll put 12,000 in here. So Pile of Meds for 12, your Knackles for 20. And yes, I know it's NaCl. Nobody has to, well, actually guys, and tell me what that means. I like to say Knackle because it's funny. Anyways, SJ1s is the next one. You want to get those for 41,000. Now you can buy them for those. They do get that cheap, but if you can't, keep an eye out on the barter. A lot of times you can do this barter for less than 41,000 as long as you buy your components at the right prices. You get the barter from therapist, you turn around and you can make even a little bit more money if you got that barter cheaper on your SJ6 craft. Now again, my times are going to be faster than yours. Don't worry about it. I have max crafting and max hideout management, but it still works out to about 16,000 rubles per hour. Now, one last little trick I want to talk about here has to do with propitals. It's not necessary for crafting for profit, but it can be. When I use golden stars, which I do, in my secure container, I don't use them up. I let them get to 1 or 2 uses, then I turn them into propitals. So that cost is sunk into my raids, right? It's my pain pill, however you want to call it. So I don't include it in my crafting. So if you look what I do here, when I change that to 0, boom. Even if you're only selling your propitals for 25,000, you're still making money. You're netting about 93,000 in profit, which is enough to go buy another golden star if you want. So basically, I just cycle my golden stars for free with found and raid propitals that I sell on the market. Now, if you were watching closely, you notice I just crafted 2 items here. If you're wondering how I did that, again, that is max crafting. It is it's a skill that you get when you get to level 51, and it allows you to craft 2 items at once. I do a whole video explaining that process. We'll put a link down in the description. You can go check that out if you want to get to that point. All right, now moving over to the nutrition unit on the other side, we'll get into here. I'm glad we can actually talk about something because a lot of times the crafts in here are not the best, but we've got some now that actually make you a little bit of money. And the 2 primary ones we're going to talk about are slickers, which you can see the craft there, and believe it or not, hot rods. Yes, you can make money with these. And here's one of the examples of, you know, our tools being used. Filters count as tools in this. You don't get them back from your water collector, but any of the other things that craft and require water filters, you do get them back. So we'll start this craft too, and then we'll jump right into the prices for them. So with slickers, you want to get your chocolate bars for less than 40, oat flakes less than 17, crackers 14.5 or less, and then try to sell your slickers for at least 13,000. Now, yes, this only nets you about 5K in profit, but there's a couple of things here. One, it's doing something. It's helping. You could say this covers your cost of fuel and everything else is free. Whatever you want to do. But more importantly, you're pushing more stuff through your flea market, which means you get your flea market rating higher, which leads to more slots. And that is especially true with crafts like the hot rod, where your output's 260,000 rubles. That's 0.05 slots on the flea market right now. So when you're crafting this, obviously we don't count the craft of the cost of the tool, but try to get your super water for less than 86,000. So sugar for less than 70, and I do this by bartering usually with the Jaeger barter. Sometimes the Pile of Med barter, if you can get your Pile of Meds really cheap. coffee for less than 25,000, and then your tea for less than 18. Craft it all together, sell your hot rods for 13,000 or more, and you're gonna net yourself about 4,000 an hour in profit. But again, that big push on your flea market rating. Now, kind of associated with the nutrition unit, if you will, is the booze collector and water collector. So one thing to keep in mind on your water collector is that it uses 66% of whatever the water filter is with base. That gets better as your hideout management skill levels up. So assuming you're getting your water filters for 57, 58, even 60,000, you're selling your super waters for at least 86, you're gonna net between 7,000 and 8,000 rubles an hour on here. Now that's the beauty, because that is right where fuel costs with no upgrades or anything else. So this 100% offsets the cost of fuel just by letting this run. Now, the booze generator is a little bit of a different animal. When you get this thing and you start crafting, yes, it's super cool to craft moonshine, right? But the problem is that the sugar can be hard to get. You need to get your sugar for less than 70,000 each and sell your moonshine for over 260. Now, one of the tricks with this is getting like 8, 10, 12, 15 moonshines and selling those in big stacks. Because when somebody wants to get a thick case barter, they need to buy 50 moonshines. And you can see on the market how much that can change the price. Prices can go from 230 to 270 just like that, because one person came in and wanted to do a thick case barter. Now, again, I use barters for the sugar, either Therapist or the Jaeger barter, or you kind of try to snipe them off the market for less than 70K. And that's where you'll make money here with the booze generator. Okay, from here, we will move over to the Intel Center really quick, and it's pretty straightforward crafting setup. Now, for me, the most profitable crafts that I do are the thumb drives and Intel. It's pretty straightforward. One or the other doesn't matter a whole lot which one you want to do, but because these are such long crafts, we don't talk about them in the profit per hour necessarily. Now, with the thumb drives, make sure you get your G phones for 15K or less, GPXs for 110K, and SSDs for 35. It can be tough, but I see them there quite often, and I'll buy them in like 5 or 6 at a time to get that price. Then once your thumb drives are sold, your flash drives, whatever you want to call them, sell them for 70K or more. Now, this is pushing the market, but you can sell them there. If you're going to sell them for less than 70,000, you are better off bartering them to Jaeger and getting a dog tag case than you are selling them because of the flea market fee, just because how big of a bite that takes out. Because the three thumb drives gets you a dog tag case you can sell for like 195,000 rubles back to the traders. So keep that in mind. Now with Intel, we got to change. We're going to do like we do with Pile of Meds. We're not going to do 70,000 when we buy flash drives. We're going to aim for 65,000 or less to buy flash drives. Now there's a couple reasons. You can buy these up on the market to help prop up the price. I'll buy them 6 at a time because I'll buy 3 for Intel, and then I'll buy 3 to do the dog tag barter. And not necessarily because it makes me money, but it pulls those thumb drives out of the market so that they're more expensive for the ones that I'm trying to sell. Then try to get your paper for about 35K or less. You can get this really cheap sometimes, as low as 25K, and that's just another 10,000 profit you're gonna make on your Intel. But nonetheless, 35 on your paper, and then sell your Intel for 290. Now, looking at the chart for Intel, we saw a pretty steady decline in price, but it bottomed out this weekend, it looks like, and we're seeing a slight recovery coming back up. I'm wondering if we're at the bottom of Intel, if Intel's gonna hold around 280, 290,000. Hopefully, nonetheless, 290 is a definite easy place to reach, and often you can sell it for more than that. And then every 31 hours or 25 hours or whatever it is based on your skills, you get yourself between 25 and 35,000 in profit. Now I'm going to show you guys a secret craft that's only available to people that watch this video, and it's over here in the security area. Basically what it boils down to is a like and a comment for this video, and maybe even a share for bonus extra credit, yields more videos from me. Engagement drives these videos big time, and they're a huge help for the channel. So if you guys do lots of engagement on the crafting videos, then that makes me want to do more of them. Now this is one of the most beneficial crafts in the hideout if you ask me, but maybe I'm a little impartial. Now, jokes aside, we'll get to the last two stations here, if you will, Lavatory and Workbench. And these are where you're going to make most of your money, to be honest with you. Now, the 2 crafts on the Lavatory that I think are the best for profit, to be honest with you, are bleach and then ripstop using the vests. Now, the vests, again, now you need a sewing kit, so keep that in mind. But we'll get to that here in a second. Now, one of the reason bleach is the most powerful craft, I believe, in the hideout is, so I went with kind of middle of the road prices here. These are kind of average prices, a little on the lower end for buying, and then kind of average on selling. If you really shop for soap and get soap down into like the 12K range or 10K range sometimes, you know, alkalis under 9K and sodium under, you know, I've seen it as low as 12, sometimes 11. You can push those prices down. There is so much money that can be made with bleach, and you just buy them in big groups. Make sure you have tons of these components. But for average prices, shoot for 14 on soap, 10 on your alkali, and then on the sodium, about 13,000. Once you get 10, 15, 20 of these bleaches, that's where I like to sell them out when I craft them. List them for about 12.5. This is going to net you at least 30K in profits, 30K an hour in profits. But on top of that, you can push these prices even higher if you watch the resets. Bleach is used in a couple of barters with Ragman specifically that with his resets eat up a ton of bleach and people burn through them. So you'll see these big price swings based on the Ragman resets. Now the ripstop craft is one of my favorite crafts simply because it's easy. Now you're dependent on the barter with Jaeger for your scav vests, but you buy your slickers for like 11, 11.5, 12K, 3 of those, trade them for 3 vests, turn it into ripstop, then sell your ripstop for 30,000. Again, heavily dependent on the Ragman resets, but it will get up there. Then you've got one component essentially to worry about and you're netting 28,000 rubles an hour in profit. Now, an even more lazy craft I like to mention, because if you're cycling your crafts, trying to level your crafting, this is a great one for it. It's this Pack End Aramid. Now, it doesn't make you as much money. It only nets you about 20,000 an hour if you can get your Packas for 25,000. But when it comes to Packas, there's a couple of ways you can get them. You know, you can come straight to the market. Just make sure you have operational turned off. And if you have min condition filters, sometimes they'll show up in here in the 25, 20K range if they're broken. But very often I come onto Fence, I'll filter by armor here, and we'll see if we're lucky and we can see any in here. You can get them off. See, here's one for 17,000. I'm gonna buy that one right now. Oh, there's another one there, 17,000. There's one for 26. You can get these for really cheap off Fence and use that to make money. And then lastly, on top of this, we'll do another filter here. You can barter for them. There is a barter with Ragman. It requires 3 of the half masks. So as long as you're getting your half masks for like 8, you know, you can even push 9K, you'll be okay. Let me filter here. So 777, you know, you get all these half masks right here. What you're essentially doing is getting your Packa for like 21,000. So it's another little way to add to that craft. Now, finally, one more mention that I want to bring up, just because it's kind of like the Propital craft, where you use up a golden star, is the shampoo. If you're using bottles of water to keep hydrated in your hideout, do not drink them down. Get them to 1 out of 60. Buy a soap. I mean, you could even spend 16, 17,000 on soap. It doesn't matter. Turn them into shampoos and sell those shampoos for 20,000. Now, even if you're using full bottles of water, this makes you 15, 16K an hour. But if you sink that cost of the water into your rehydration, boom, now you're making 37,000 rubles an hour. Now, shampoo holds its price for a couple of reasons. The first one is the ETGC, the green stem barter. 4 of those are needed for that with therapists. So you'll see those spike on resets, especially during the weekend when it's really busy. And then the other 2 are, again, on Ragman, his barters. There's 2 armor barters there that a lot of people use, one being the AVS and the TV110. Now, the AVS doesn't used a whole lot. It doesn't burn up a lot of shampoos, but it will here and there. But the TV110 definitely does. And that's the kind of stuff that I'm talking about with the Lavatory. You have a lot of choices here to make money. So just keep an eye out for the opportunities when they show up. Now, across the way at the Workbench, this is the most complicated. It has the most crafts, the most money to be made. So we're going to talk about the top few here. The Workbench is my favorite place because it's got the most utility and the most profit piled into it. As per has been most of the wipes so far, the best craft is circuit boards. It hasn't changed. The prices have changed and what you sell things at for has changed, but circuit boards are still king. But what has moved up a little bit, just because it didn't get its profits hit by tools, is the Vogs. And the beauty of the Vogs is it also is a high kind of value item that allows you to make a ton of money or sell a ton of money on the flea market and raise that rating. So one of the beauties about the printed circuit board craft is not only is it the best, it's one of the simplest ones out there. Now that you get your tools back, all you got to do is worry about buying DVDs. Buy those for 9,000 or less, which is, it might not seem like it's viable, but I do it all the time. Then get big stacks of circuit boards, 10, 15, 20, and sell those for 15.5. This is going to net you 33,000 an hour in profits. Next up, almost as simple, at least in the numbers, the way I like to look at it, is the Vog craft. Just get your fuses and your 40mm grenades for 13,000 or less. Now, yes, a lot of times you can get fuses for like 10, 11K, and then 40mm grenades are, 14, 15K, and that's as cheap as you're gonna get them. As long as the average of the 2 components is 13,000, you're gonna be smoked on this craft as far as profits are concerned. I sell these things in really, really big stacks. I'm talking 40 or 50 at a time. Once I get them there, I have a grenade box that I pile these all into until it's full, basically, and then I sell them for 26,000 or more. And sometimes you can do even better than that on weekends and stuff, especially at night. You do that, you're gonna net 29,000 or more an hour in profits. Now, the next 2 are not super, super good crafts, but they're okay, and you can do better with them, but people love these crafts, so I wanna bring them up. They like seeing them in the video. The first one's capacitors. Get your PSUs for less than 30,000. Not too hard to do. Sometimes they do push 45, 50, but catch them on their low swings. You can get them down into 25 sometimes. And then just get big stacks of capacitors, just like everything else. Sell them for 15,000. Capacitors are selling for a lot more now than they had in like the month previously. So it's adding more and more profit to the bottom of this. You're going to net at least 22,000 an hour and more, again, if you do better with your components. And lastly is the wires craft. This is the go-to craft, all wipe. If you don't know what to craft wires. They're always going to make you money. They won't lose you money. There may not be the best craft, but it's pretty simple. Buy 2 power cords, turn them into wires, sell the wires. Now I shoot for 16,000 or less on the power cords, and then try to get like 9,500 on your wires. There's tens of thousands of wires, it feels like, listed from like between 9,400 and 9,500. So if you got to undercut 94, 98 or 94.50, just get as close to 9,500 as you can, and you'll do all right with this. Now, if you didn't know already, I use Tarkov Market to do all of these. We used to do all these by hand, but these guys have such a good overlay, and it's so easy to show you guys how this stuff works. It's a $5 Patreon to get everything, but they still have information that's not behind the paywall. Go check out their site, tarkov-market.com. Great tools. I use them every day, and they've got so much information on here. It's awesome. They don't sponsor the video. I just like throwing stuff their way because they let me use it in my videos. So it's kind of like a happy relationship, if you will. Back into the crafts. The top crafts in each module, if you craft these ones here, the ones that we've got, just shampoo, meds, circuit boards, aquamarine, super water, moonshine, intel, right? You craft all of these. This is going to net you about 100K an hour in profits. Now that might not sound like a lot, and it isn't, but it's every little bit helps. This is extra ammo. It's an extra piece of gear. It's something that you don't have to sweat about, especially if you're struggling for money. Now for me, I'm going to change this, and I'm going to turn on my progress where I've got my skills applied. All of these profits spike quite a bit. I mean, you see here, we're making 60K an hour on VOG. I push my profits to 220,000 an hour when I'm crafting. And that's not counting 2 crafts, which I can craft twice at once. And you look at that without trying, I can push 350, 400K an hour. So crafting can be very powerful, especially over the long term. And the bonuses help out too. It increases how much you get out of your hideout as far as your bonuses, with reducing your scav timer and reducing your flea market fee and all that other stuff. But don't sweat it too much. Have fun with it. Buy components what you can get. Craft when you can. If you turn it into a job, it's not going to be fun. Now, I love hunting the market. I love finding cheap prices. I love trying to min-max on this stuff. It's fun. That action's fun for me. And I can take that and turn it into videos for you guys to get the info so you don't have to do it. But it's not for everyone. But we'll wrap it up there. Hope you guys got a lot out of this. Sorry we haven't done them in so long. We're going to start doing them every week, though, now. Look for these every Friday morning going forward. So hope this will help you max out the profits in your hideout. I wish you the best of luck in raids, and we'll see you in Tarkov.